2025. This is Information Security Now. Information Security Now is a live stream podcast about information security, about various technology and hacking and cybersecurity instances that are occurring throughout the world and in current events. And we will begin recently. CBS, and by recently I mean yesterday, CBS released a 60 minutes segment where they say China has a capacity to hack the US is growing. Warns China has hacked into US computer networks at an astonishing degree, not just military and industries, but also all Americans. Overall, quote unquote, capacity is getting smaller while we know China's continues to grow. Immense capability in the US government, and now it will be up to the administration to be able to use that and build partnerships with industry. Haugletta rose to lead the NSA and Cyber Command in 2024. Just as the scope of China's hacking of utilities became clear in a place no one would have imagined, Littleton, Massachusetts. China had breached his utilities computer network, the general manager of the town's electric and water utility. For at least 5 years, around the time the FBI visited. That's a long time. Could have been a very dangerous hack if China had managed to get control over the utilities water system. They could have poisoned the water. And that's an interesting thing to consider, that they had been in the system for 5 years and hadn't done anything. And that is likely. I mean, we can assume, but let's Google it. It's to achieve a range of objectives, maximizing long-term damage, maintaining plausible deniability, and demonstrating superiority over the target. A prolonged, persistent presence in the network is often more valuable than a one-time disruptive strike. That's interesting to consider. And it's in the pursuit of achieving maximum impact. Okay, we'll move on. Caught before it had operational control, secure from danger. And if they're willing to go to a small utility provider, then the extent to the field of disruption is very large. No utility would talk to 60 Minutes about getting hacked by China except Littleton's Nick Lawler. He decided to speak out so Americans could understand the danger. And if you are in a utility-based company, consider reaching out to Zayuk. Zayuk is a company that I have founded. Okay, let me do for maintaining information and operational enterprise resource planning through utilities, specifically energy, but we also do water facilities as well. Really any sort of large structural assets that take in ERP, enterprise resource planning. Exploiting vulnerabilities in network equipment. When vulnerabilities go unpatched or when out-of-date equipment is no longer supported with security updates. Access for a later time. Why is the hacking occurring? To ensure it has an advantage in a crisis or conflict. The only value would be for use in a crisis or conflict. That's my preliminary thought as well, is that in a crisis or conflict and execution of that. I mean, that's how the article is being written. But in addition to that, what we stated before is displaying superiority, achieving maximum impact, and that is likely also kind of, and also plausible deniability. When you haven't actually executed on a attack, then there is plausible deniability. Versus some attacks, it's very difficult when there's a infrastructure attack that has been executed and literally worked well, and you can trace it back to code that was written, which is an interesting dynamic of finding malware. Is that I haven't necessarily done it, but something you listen to is destructing code, reverse engineering code, and determining the origin of where that malware was written. It's very interesting. China intends to deter the U.S. from engaging in a potential fight by using its cyber program to disrupt key American industries. The scale of keeping adversaries out of networks is a challenge. More consuming to try to get someone out of a network than deny them access, which is why it's critically important that we get basic rights in our critical infrastructure and these substantive networks so that we aren't expending more resources to try and root them out. Haas spent 33 years in Air Force intelligence, rose to America's largest and most advanced intelligence agency, charge of defending America from computer threats, warned China hacked into U.S. computer networks to an astonishing degree, targeting Americans in their homes, target water, electrical power infrastructure, transportation are examples of the types of things that were targeted. In many cases, they are vulnerable. Multiple intrusions discovered in 2023. Chinese today are in American power plants, water treatment plants, other parts of the electrical grid, maybe even hospitals, telecommunications, all of that. daily contests to denying access, and it's again decentralized across many different entities. These aren't all connected entities. Feds watched what China was doing and learned what was part of an awakening for American security. All right. An interesting article by Tom Hardware, Nintendo allegedly hacked by Crimson Collective hacking group. Screenshots showed leak filed production assets, developer files, and backups. High-profile group Crimson Collective claimed it had successfully hacked Nintendo, notorious for being litigious and overprotective of its IP, shared a screenshot on X that allegedly showed proof of the attack. Gaming Giant is yet to make a statement about this attack. I'm looking at something called Hack Risk IO. Wow, US is targeted. It might be more reported, but this is, based off of Hack Risk IO, top 10 most targeted countries. US is number one at 27.2%, and number two is Germany at 8.7%. And then number three is Italy at 4.6%. So, and number 10, Israel, is at 2.4%, which is less than 10% of what the US is. So US is a huge domain for this type of stuff. I'm guessing Japan has to be high up there. Japan at 2.8%, which makes sense. They have a fraction of our population. Behind the recent attack on Red Hat, which it gained unauthorized access to a company's GitHub repos and stole about 570 gigabytes of data, and attempted to extort the company, but was simply dismissed. Likely, if it was true, the same tactic of contacting the gaming giant through official channels and asking for payment to delete the stolen data, or else they will leak it. Rockstar was attacked in 2023, and some of the source code for Grand Theft Auto 6 was leaked online. Insomniac Games in the same year, several Spider-Man titles was hit by a ransomware attack, and files related to games and employees were made available for download on the internet. CD Projekt Red was victim in 2021 after the source code for Cyberpunk, The Witcher, and several other titles, along with several different files, were stolen and threatened to be released publicly if the company did not pay. Without confirmation from the makers of the Switch 2, we can only guess if Crimson Collective's exploit is true or not. Interesting. From Yahoo Finance, did the US government hack crypto wallets to create a Bitcoin reserve? New on-chain data suggests the U.S. government hacked wallets for its 14 billion Bitcoin seizure, although it indicted major criminals. The BTC question has been taken from them 5 years ago. The BTC in question had been taken from them 5 years ago. U.S. government's $14 billion Bitcoin seizure attracted a lot of excitement in the crypto community. However, crypto sleuths have examined the on-chain data, discovering a few potential inconsistencies with the official report. This led to claim that U.S. actually hacked these wallets, which could radically change the story. Cambodian crime ring with a pig butchering operation. It also ran other criminal legitimate enterprises. And pig butchering is a type of, let's just ask Gemini, what is pig butchering? Scam, long-term investment fraud where criminals build trust with the victim, often through fake romance, and then trick them into investing in fraudulent cryptocurrency or other financial schemes. Comes from process of fattening the victim with attention and fake returns over time before quote unquote slaughtering them by stealing all their money. Start with random message or dating apps or social media and can last for several weeks or months. So, Bitcoin mining pool hacked in 2020. Over the last 5 years, these assets sat idle in wallets. And a report claimed that they had vulnerable private keys. Wow. And this article is alleging that an individual alleges the U.S. government may have hacked, and it wasn't actually part of the Cambodian crime ring. Might have huge implications for the reserve. It quote unquote must reimburse most of them to their initial users. Okay, we'll move on. This isn't from the Cointelegraph. Singapore High Court's approval clears the way for WazirX to restart operations and begin compensating more than 1,500 users. Crypto exchange WazirX has finally secured approval from the Singapore High Court for its restructuring plan, paving the way for its user repayments following the $234 million hacking incident last year. Comes weeks after creditors backed the revised proposal, allows WazirX to start the next phase of its recovery process, including token-based fund distributions and reviving the exchange's operations. It's your support and quote-unquote fund recovery after $234 million hack. WazirX lost about $234 million from a safe Multisig wallet breach in July 2024, which forced the exchange to pause withdrawals on the platform. Linked to North Korean hackers, observed similar techniques often used by Lazarus hacking group. And a lot of the different hacking groups throughout the world have these sort of MOs, and Lazarus's MO is aiming for cryptocurrency and stealing cryptocurrency. And they're very good at it. They are very good at it. Whereas, I would say you have other ones throughout the world that Russia is very disruptive in utilities and real world applications, also social media. You have Israel, which has some of the best spy. I believe it's some of the best spy operations in the world, as we've seen over the last 15 years. WazirX paused withdrawals for crypto and Indian rupees after reports of a hack began circulating online, flagged that an unauthorized actor had moved about 234.9 million in digital assets from safe Multisig wallet to a different address. Co-founder of payment platform CopperX believes that the hacker may have tricked WazirX into upgrading its safe implementation skeleton with a phishing smart contract in the last 8 days, and the team signed a random transaction which led to the exploit. Whoa. Blockchain forensics firm Elliptic said their data led them to believe that the hack was conducted by hackers tied to North Korea. Drew similar conclusions. That's crazy. Okay. Oracle on Saturday issued a security alert warning of a fresh security flaw impacting its e-business suite that could allow unauthorized access to sensitive data, tracked as CVE 2025-61884, CVSS score of 7.5 indicating high severity. Versions 12.2.3 through 12.2.14. Easily exploitable vulnerability allows an unauthenticated actor with network access via HTTP to compromise Oracle configurator. Successful attacks of this vulnerability can result in unauthorized access to critical data of the complete access to all Oracle configurator accessible data. Remotely exploitable without requiring authentication. No mention of it being exploited in the wild. Affects some deployments of eBusiness Suite, could be weaponized to allow access to sensitive resources. Google Threat Intelligence Group and Mandiant disclosed that dozens of organizations may have been impacted following zero-day exploitation of CVE 2025-61882. Founded to leverage the vulnerability to trigger two different payload chains, dropping malware families like Goldvein, Java, Saga, SageGift, Gift. Okay. CVE 2025-61884, runtime user interface, vulnerability, an Oracle Configurator product of Oracle E-Business Suite, like 61882 before it, officially affects ESB versions 12.2.3 through 12.2.14. Database entry for CV 2025, easily exploitable vulnerability, unauthenticated attacker, network access via the HTTP could compromise Oracle Configurator. At least one earlier version, 12.1.3, has been confirmed to also be vulnerable. CI0P gang exploited multiple EBS vulnerabilities, including one zero-day flaw, to steal large amounts of data. Clop sending extortion emails to several victims since last Monday. CV 61882. Some customers did not apply security patches Oracle released in July 2025. Company updated in post and removed that text, and the post now says that Oracle had issued a security alert advisory. Affects BI publisher integration of Oracle concurrent processing within Oracle E-Business Suite. Easily exploitable by unauthenticated attackers. Should check for evidence of compromise. Wow. Broad mass zero-day exploitation that has already occurred. Irrespective of when the patch is applied, organizations should examine whether they were already compromised. Wow. Among indicators of compromise are Python scripts and an archive file whose name reference scattered. Lapsus Hunters, a threat group that ostensibly encompasses members of Scattered Spider, Lapsus, and Shiny Hunters. Okay. Harvard is confirmed victim of Oracle EBS. Listed on a data leak website dedicated to victims of Clop ransomware on October 12. University was initially only named, but the cybercriminals have now published a link that points to data stolen from Harvard. 1.3 terabytes of archive files have been made available, contain data. Security Week has not verified the content of the leaked files. Confirmed being targeted. Vulnerability exploited by the hackers has been patched, and there is no evidence of other systems being compromised. GTIG, Google Threat Intelligence Group, and Mandiant believe dozens of organizations have been targeted. Information typically stored in EBS can include financial, customer, supplier, HR, and inventory data. Sent out extortion emails. Okay. Well, that will be it for now, everyone. Thank you so much for joining, and hopefully you all are having a good week. This is brought to you by Zayuk. Zayuk is a smart property system that provides software and cyber infrastructure for properties and bring digital twins and analytics to those types of properties, including utilities, real estate, as well as government assets. Thank you, everyone, and have